Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are unpacking a really powerful modern parable. It's all about truth, memory, and, the stories powerful people tell themselves. It's a story about a fancy, gilded hall, a very strange entertainer, and what happens when the statues we put up for decoration actually start to speak.
So let's kick things off with this quote from Goethe's Faust, because it just perfectly nails the paradoxical role of our main character, the Jester. He's this force of disruption, right? An instrument of chaos who, by seeming to will evil, or at the very least some profound discomfort, ends up serving a much greater and way more difficult good. He shows up to entertain, but believe me, his real purpose is to reveal.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this story down. We're going to follow the dramatic arc of one single transformative night. We'll meet the key players, we'll watch a subversive performance, see stone literally come to life, experience a pretty terrifying revelation, and then finally we'll get to the bottom of what it was all for.
Okay, let's dive right in by setting the scene and meeting the instruments of our story. Because in this hall, you're going to see that everyone and everything plays a part, whether they know it or not.
So, picture this. We're in a grand dining hall, a place just built to scream power and certainty. The walls are lined with portraits of ancestors, and they all have the same look of unwavering confidence. Our audience? A table of lords, the guys who architect the kingdom's arrangements. But the two most important figures here are the invited jester with his uncanny companion and this kind of overlooked piece of decor, a white marble angel just silently watching.
Now, here's what's truly fascinating. The Jester's scepter. It is not just a prop, it's what he calls his other half. Think of it like his silent partner, a collaborator that's, well, just like the Jester himself. It looks ridiculous on the surface, but it's ancient and terrible underneath. This is the companion that shares the immense weight of the truth he's about to drop.
And sitting right on top of this scepter is a 300-year-old gargoyle carved from dark stone. It's been passed from jester to jester, basically an accumulation of history right there at his side. In the candlelight, its eyes have this habit of catching the flame in a way that stone just shouldn't. Yeah, this is no ornament. It's a witness with a memory that's far longer and far less forgiving than any human in that room.
So let's get to the second act. The Jester was invited to entertain, right? And he begins what is basically a masterclass in what you could call subversive agreement. He doesn't challenge the lords. No, he agrees with them, but with this enthusiasm that just pushes their logic into the uncomfortable light of absurdity.
He starts off by applauding their new trade agreements. He calls them favorable, but the way he says it subtly exposes the self-serving nature of a system where one side gives the raw materials and the other side provides the favor, making sure the arrangement only ever benefits itself. He's literally just repeating your own logic back to them.
Then he turns to the church's representative and praises the divinely endorsed tithes. He mockingly admires the, quote, sophisticated theology that somehow always finds God's will perfectly aligned with the financial interests of the powerful. He bows before it, and as he does, the gargoyle on his scepter swings right into the full candlelight.
And this just brilliantly illustrates his whole technique. The lords are laughing, completely missing the fact that they are the punchline. They're laughing at their own reflections. But the ancient gargoyle, that unforgiving judge of all performances, is not amused. Its stone face is just watching a slow disaster unfold, knowing exactly when the ground is about to give way.
Okay, this is the turning point. As this really uncomfortable silence finally falls over the room, the entertainment is officially over. The judgment begins, and it started not by the jester, but by the ancient stone at his side, which decides to speak out of turn.
The gargoyle's voice, the sound of just grinding stone, cuts right through the silence. It makes every single person in the room turn their eyes to the marble angel. And it identifies her not as just decoration, but as a silent, patient witness to 47 years of hypocrisy. Every negotiation that was called a necessity, every single arrangement that wrapped itself in the language of God while serving the language of spreadsheets.
To wake up this second witness, the gargoyle does something absolutely stunning. It doesn't make a sound. Instead, it releases a pulse of pure absence, the concentrated silence of all the convenient lies and self-serving laughter from the past 47 years. This pulse, this sort of counter-frequency, strikes the angel, and the marble breathes.
The awakened angel immediately cuts through all of the Lord's justifications. When one of them tries to excuse past actions as being from a different era, the angel points out this devastating truth. While the language and the explanations change from generation to generation, the exploitative arrangement, it stays exactly the same. So this is absolutely crucial. The angel identifies the truest corruption, the deepest rot. And it's not the person who knows he's a hypocrite. No, it's the person who is so sincere in his own goodness, who's lived so long inside the arrangement, that he's completely forgotten how to even question its foundation. He has mistaken his own advantage for the natural order of things.
Now we get to the climax of the whole story. The angel has named the problem with words, but you know what? Words are no longer enough. Truth is about to become a physical, undeniable force in the room.
One of the lords tries to argue that they can't be held accountable for the world as it is, and the angel delivers this final, chilling verdict before everything changes. She makes a critical distinction. You aren't responsible for the world as it is, but for the world as you have kept it. And the most damning part, you have always known the difference.
What comes next isn't speech. It's a cold, white light, and it's coming from every seam of the angel's marble body. It's described as the holy blight of revelation. It doesn't burn, it doesn't destroy. Its particular cruelty is that it simply makes everything impossible to ignore.
The blight itself explains what it is. It declares, I am not a judge, I am the evidence. It's the physical form of all the unspoken truths, all the denied petitions, and all the convenient prayers that have filled this hall for 47 years. And its purpose isn't to punish or to teach them something new. It's simply to introduce light to the complicit knowledge that is already inside each and every man at that table.
As this cold, truthful light finally fades, the angel becomes marble once again. And the jester, he prepares to leave, his true and terrible purpose now fulfilled.
The blight might be temporary, but its effect is permanent. It doesn't magically fix the system or change the arrangement. What it changes is the awareness of the men inside of it. Before, they laughed. Now, they just sit in the silence of recognition. The arrangement, which was once invisible as air, is now known, and it cannot be unknown.
And this, right here, is the core takeaway of the jester's role. He doesn't offer solutions, he doesn't give them a path forward. He says it plainly. His job isn't the healing. His job is to create the wound of awareness. He opens the wound. Whether the lords choose to deal with it or just let it fester, well, that's their work now. That's their choice.
Even the ancient gargoyle, that cynical stone companion, acknowledges the outcome. In this quiet aside to the jester, a sound like shifting gravel, it just calls it a good dance. It admits the marble witness actually surprised it, noting with this kind of weary satisfaction that these silent stones, they often contain far more truth than anyone expects.
And so, the parable leaves us with this final provocative question. The holy blight is gone, the moment of forced clarity is over, but the memory of it remains. The story turns the challenge from those lords in the gilded hall directly to us. Once a room has been illuminated, once you know, what do you do with that knowledge? Thank you for joining this explainer.